is 7:01. I'm calling this meeting to order. Start with roll call. So in order here, Commissioner Bryan.
I'm here.
Commissioner Cryer.
Here.
Commissioner Edwards.
Here.
Commissioner Gell.
Here.
Commissioner Lates, myself, here. Commissioner Redmond.
Here.
Commissioner Sanders Pierce.
Present.
Excellent. Next item on the agenda, approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as written, or any additions?
Mr. Chair, no staff additions.
Thank you.
I'll make it.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
All right,
Second that.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Edwards, seconded by Commissioner Gell. All in favor? Aye. All right, the agenda has been approved. Next up, the approval of the minutes from January 22nd, 2025. Are there any comments or changes to those, or do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Sanders Pierce,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Cryer. All those in favor?
Aye.
And I will abstain as I was absent.
As will I, for the same reason.
Next up on the agenda is new business, starting with Ramsey County Climate Equity Action Plan. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. So tonight we have an honored guest here to speak on the Ramsey County Climate Action Plan. So I will introduce the subject. First of all, Ramsey County did adopt their Climate Equity Action Plan in 2024. The plan serves as a comprehensive guide for staff and partners to reduce the county's contributions to climate change, address the negative impacts of climate change in the community, and leverage related opportunities when they appear. And as you are aware, the city of Maplewood has been undergoing a climate mitigation plan that we started last summer. And this will be the last component of our climate action plan, having already adopted this will be the last component of our climate action plan, having already adopted the climate adaptation plan. So the mitigation plan will be the last step in that. And we hope to have that back on track here in the spring and get that wrapped up. But I thought this would be good synergy to welcome Gregory Goodwin. He is a health educator with Ramsey County, and he is here today to give us a presentation on mainly the high-level overview of the county's climate equity mitigation plan, as well as review points of alignment and support for Maplewood's climate mitigation plan. So with that, I welcome Gregory.
Thank you so much, Sean, and thank you everybody for having me here. Good evening. I'm excited to outline more of the Climate Equity Action Plan and provide the high-level information of our plan that we have at the county. And so just for some context, my name is Gregory Goodwin, again, and I am with the Climate and Health team within Public Health and Environmental Health in the Health and Wellness Service team. And so for some additional context, Ramsey County as a whole is structured with 4 service teams, housing multiple departments, all encompassing with a strategic team that includes the county's manager's office, HR, finance, and policy and planning as well. And the presentation is coming up. Awesome, perfect. So just a little presentation overview for tonight, just going over our strategic priority that guides our work for the CEAP, Climate Equity Action Plan, also going over the developmental process for it, our focus goal areas, document walkthrough, where our team is currently and where we're looking ahead, and also some upcoming events that are tied in with our Climate Equity Action Plan. So first, I just want to give an overview of our strategic priority for 24-25 that helps guide our work and where we get some of our funding from. The Public Health Department recognized the need for climate change, or recognizing the need for climate responses in 2018, which was then elevated to the county system in 2022 and recognized as a focus from the Board of Commissioners. And so the strategic priority that you see was in response to growing calls from community members really wanting action on climate. And so, as you all know, we continue to see the changes of warm impacts on our local climate, ranging from milder winters, like we see right now, it's 50 degrees, and hotter summers, more extreme weather, longer allergy seasons. And so these challenges have multitude of impacts on residential health, well-being, and safety, particularly with our under-recognized and climate-vulnerable populations. And so this ranges from, it ranges and includes and not limited to racially and ethnically diverse communities, health compromised individuals, those that are unhoused and work in outside in heat, and also community dependent populations that rely on social services from the county and city levels. And so you can see on the left-hand side is our strategic priority on responding to climate change and increasing community resilience. And so Ramsey County is dedicated to helping residents adapt to the impacts of our changing climate, reducing contributions to climate change, promoting environmental justice, and addressing the unequal impacts of climate change on under-recognized communities. And the two goals that help drive this work is our first goal on the right-hand side, evaluating and communicating that process transparently. And so we're in the process of developing a platform to communicate and track our progress throughout the Climate Equity Action Plan within those 6 focus areas. And then our second goal is building capacity within the county system to ensure the effective implementation of our SEEP. And so that's really focused on, excuse me, that's really focused on the support to lead that cross-departmental work across the system. And advancing the strategic priority, we have our Climate Strategic Priority Team, which consists of folks, our priority sponsors from the executive level, and as well as our project sponsors, who are the department leadership, including my division manager, Daniel Schmidt. And so with that, I just kind of wanted to take a step back and kind of walk through the development process of the SEEP. So we had initial steps, which included identifying the main framework that we were going to model our Climate Equity Action Plan off of. And so that was from the Minnesota Climate Action Framework. And then we also held listening sessions that were facilitated by the consultant-listed equity strategies to try and help us facilitate these conversations and really try to understand what the community really wanted to see in this plan, as well as having an online surveying period for folks that weren't able to attend those community listening sessions. For the planning process, we had 6 different internal work groups that focused on each chapter of the Climate Equity Action Plan, and we had multiple department representatives to participate and provide their input and really identify their main role within the Climate Equity Action Plan and really driving that implementation forward. We also had the Institute of Building Technology and Safety conduct an assessment, really trying to figure out where we can emphasize equity throughout the plan. And so one of our former commissioners hired that consultant, and there's an analysis and an interview with the commissioners who were provided the final document and recommendations on how to embed equity throughout, as that was our main highlight and concern that we really wanted to have within the plan. And so a part of that planning process also included collaboration with our partners. Partners range from the local level, the state level, national level. We were really looking at national examples and really trying to make sure that we could have a plan that community was really proud of. Our local and state partners also included the Minnesota Climate Adaptation Partnership, MCAP, some of you may be familiar with. We also partnered with Hennepin County and their Climate Action Resilience team. And we also were working with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, really trying to figure out how they were implementing the state framework and how we can kind of model some of that work instead of reinventing the wheel. In terms of engagement, we had the Resilience Community Project out of University of Minnesota run a gap analysis in 2023 to help identify opportunities, gaps, and challenges internal to the Ramsey County system to help advance climate work. And there were three main things that they found from that. It included identifying funding sources for full-time staff and employees and projects, one of which is my position, really trying to beef up our team to have a network to really advance and implement this work. Also the need to increase community engagement around this, not only for the development of the plan, but also for updates and constant check-ins, making sure that we're effectively implementing the goals. And then also we hired a staff person to really drive that work forward. And we also understood a need for internal capacity support and resources for individual departments to understand their role in this work and really drive that action forward, like I mentioned. For the engagement piece of it, for the community conversations piece of it, we had two events held last year and 2023 that were held open to residents, gearing towards those that self-identified as climate vulnerable or under-recognized communities. And so these sessions were really vital to understand the vision that community had for this plan, and then take back those comments, report it back to leadership, and have them address the concerns in the draft of that plan. And then we brought it back to community on the second community conversations to have their comment and response and kind of facilitate that back and forth discussion on the plan. We also have, our Equitable Climate Action Resident Advisory Team, ECRAT for short. And that includes 8 members that I self-identify as climate vulnerable or under-recognized, and they are critical in supplying feedback and advice when it comes to our work. We've had about 5 meetings to date, one of which we had Ann White Eagle from the Soil and Water Conservation Department of Parks and Recreation, walk through the water management plan and other work that's happening within that department, trying to advance climate action. And so it's really essential to have that dialogue and that discussion, and having community members sift through what we're doing and have a good understanding of what's happening at Ramsey County, but then also question and supply ideas and how we can better suit the needs for community, and also to help advance this plan forward. So like I mentioned, there's 6 focus areas within the Climate Equity Action Plan, one of which being clean transportation, so connecting people to places through a safe, equitable, and sustainable transportation system. So thinking about equitable access in terms of, all abilities, really trying to focus on multimodal transportation, so bikes, rolling around, rollerblades, skating, anything like that. We have climate smart natural land, which is managing county land to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, supporting healthy ecosystems, and increase environmental resilience. So really looking at tree canopies, habitat, native habitats, pollinator gardens, and all of that to really advance climate smart natural lands. We also have thriving communities, collaboratively building the capacity of Ramsey County communities to survive, thrive in changing conditions. Clean energy and efficient buildings, pursuing 100% free, carbon-free, reliable, and affordable electric power. We also have healthy lives, partnering with community to reduce the direct and indirect health impacts of climate change together. And so really relying on public health and health resources to really try and mitigate these direct health impacts on residents. And then finally, clean economy, building an economy that addresses climate change and creates equitable opportunities for people. And so this is really looking at really trying to transition into green jobs, making sure that folks are trained and ready to engage in these new skills, and that there's equitable wages, personal time off, really trying to bolster the workforce in this transition. So I have a paper copy. I forgot to pass it around, but I thankfully have a picture on the next slide to kind of walk through a little bit of the plan. And so we have goals.
Do you have something to hand up?
Oh, yes, I do. It's in my bag.
Oh.
If it,
Do you want it?
sure, yeah. It'd be nice to have a paper copy.
No.
Thank you.
Oh,
It's just, yeah. I'm going to walk through page 8, but I'll have it on the next one. I just brought a paper copy in case people just wanted to look through and kind of see the plan as a whole. And I have the examples posted on these slides, so no worries on having to follow along on paper. But yes, so walking through the SEEP, I have an example on the screen. On the left-hand side, you can see those overarching goals, so those 6 focus areas. And over to the right, you can see that we have that umbrella of the goal. We have near-term, mid-term, and long-term actions. Those mid-term actions, or those near-term actions being very feasible projects that we can take on right now, considering funding and staff capacity and the resources that we have as a team. And we have our county's role, which is at the very far right, where we have either lead, partner, or support. And so for the first example, at the very top, offering telecommuting as an emissions reduction strategy through increased flexibility in telework and hybrid work schedules. We're a lead in that. As the county has a flexible workplace policy in having hybrid work models, only having to be in office 2 times a week. And so that's a direct connection that we can tell, not coming or commuting into the office 5 days a week reduces those greenhouse gases from driving and commuting. And we're a lead in that goal or that action in really trying to be a leader and trying to motivate other organizations and entities in following similar actions. And then in terms of partnerships, we have partners and different resources that are embedded within these actions, all spread out throughout the 6 focus areas. And then at the very bottom, we have the direct connections to other focus groups, as we know that a lot of this work and content is all interdependent and interconnected. And so you can see the direct connection between clean transportation and healthy lives, the impacts on cardiovascular, respiratory, and mental health, and also clean economy, thinking about that switch to electric vehicles, having folks that are able to operate, maintain, and repair those vehicles. So for 2024, kind of where we were at and kind of the things that we are wrapping up and completing, the board approved the Climate Equity Action Plan in April 16th of 2024. We hired and onboarded our new staff person, Oriel Rosales Talenci, my coworker that I mentioned earlier for outreach and engagement. Hired my role to really build internal capacity within the county, but also build relationships with the cities in Ramsey County and trying to offer resources, whether that's funding. I've been working on an energy resource guide for cities to be able to directly look at the resources that are available to them. And we also developed our climate action microsite, which is noted on the bottom right-hand side. That's one of our external communications that we're trying to have updated regularly and transparently communicate with residents on the progress of our actions. And then at the top, I also wanted to mention our city resource that we have. It's our county climate action planning template. And so this is a vital resource that cities are able to have as they're developing their climate action plan. We recognize that each city has their own opportunities, specific needs, specific requirements. So this document is able to be easily adjusted sections can be deleted, sections can be added, and it's just a bunch of different resources that are available to cities. This is something that we'll be utilizing in hopefully our climate action planning. We recently submitted a grant to have cities on board to pool our resources together and really try to get every city in the county to have some sort of mitigation plan, adaptation plan, comprehensive climate action plan, whatever that looks like for them. We also secured a grants consultant to seek out funds to help advance our climate work. They are focusing on the system as a whole, so really looking at parks and recreation, environmental health, our team, and really trying to secure that funding so we're able to continue implementing these actions across the system. We also recently, it recently came out, but we conducted a urban heat island study in the summer of 2024 in collaboration with Hennepin County. We recently got that data back, and so really encourage everybody to look at that. And then, like I mentioned, we formed the ECHRAT and have had 5 meetings to date. Moving forward into 2025, we are finalizing and releasing the updated climate change vulnerability assessment that we conducted in 2016 and have a fresh update for 2025, really understanding the landscape and where our communities need the most help and resources. We're also planning air quality monitor network, continuing our Resilience Hub research projects, really trying to make sure that community has the resources in extreme weather events and really trying to increase that community resilience. We're also creating our tracking tool that we will publish on our microsite to help really communicate that process transparently. And then we also are continuing to develop and sustain relationships with cities and identifying the needs to help fill the gaps and provide capacity support. As you know, some cities only have 1 staff person dedicated to this or just 1 staff person for the city in general. And so my position is really trying to help increase that support and really help drive forward sustainability goals or climate actions, whatever way that means and looks like for them. And a couple events that are directly tied with the Climate Equity Action Plan is our 2025 Green Ramsey Expo and Career Fair. And so that's in collaboration with the Environmental Health Department and also Workforce Solutions. That'll be upcoming on the 19th from 10 to 1 p.m. It's open to all residents and anyone, so I encourage folks to either attend or spread the word. This is a really good opportunity for residents to, number one, understand kind of where Ramsey County is situated in climate work and kind of understand how we're addressing climate change, but also provide opportunities for job seekers to understand green jobs and learn different organizations, also different resources that are at residents' fingertips, including environmental health services that we provide, like food scraps pickup program, recycling, and a lot of those resources that we offer. We also have a joint community government extreme heat tabletop exercise. My coworker Uriel is presenting on and facilitating. It's an opportunity to test our response plans for extreme heat events and enhance our understanding of hazards and preparedness. And so we'll be partnering with emergency preparedness on that. And we have about 60 to 80 folks that are planning to attend, so it's really awesome to see such a wonderful response, especially as we're looking forward to developing a heat mitigation plan of some sort, and this kind of being our first step in, second step in addition to the urban heat island study of really trying to understand where we're at in terms of extreme weather, specifically extreme heat. And so that's the high-level overview of the Climate Equity Action Plan. I hope to learn a little bit more about the mitigation plan and other really exciting climate action work that's happening outside of Maplewood, and really try to find more points for alignment, other ways that the county can help support in your endeavors, and I hope to stay really connected with this group specifically. So thank you, and if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you so much for the presentation and for all the work you and the county are doing. It's, comments from,
Just one question, and thanks, Gregory, for coming to present to us. Really appreciate it. My question is just, so there's a handful of actions that talk about, partnering with or providing resource or data exchange with municipalities. Is there any structure set up for that yet, or a vision for what that might look like?
Yeah, there's not a particular structure right now. The team is fairly small, 4 people, including myself. And so that's something that we've really been trying to really kind of structure and operationalize. That's kind of what I'm starting to do within my position. I've only been in this role for about 4 to 5 months, and so I'm really just trying to understand what that looks like. We have kind of like what I was saying with national partners, there's national examples of this, and so really just trying to figure out different examples and different models that we could adapt for the county here.
One suggestion I'll throw out there is some counties that we've worked with have put together, pull in somebody from each municipality that wants to participate and kind of have like a county-wide implementation team that, meets with some regularity quarterly, even just sharing stories about what are we working on, what are you working on, and looking for overlap or opportunities for partnering, that kind of thing. So
Oh yeah, exactly.
even that as sort of a light touch at quarterly meetings might go a long way to help create, kind of gel across municipal boundaries. So
Yeah.
just one thought.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you for that. And actually, that's something that we're in the process of planning right now. Well, I'm in the process of planning right now. Dane County is a really good example of that. And so really having those like round robin updates, trying to share a little bit of my work, like that energy resource guide that I was mentioning, or that county CAP template. And so having those conversations with cities are really important. So I underscore what you're saying and really appreciate that suggestion.
any other comments? Well, I just want to say thank you again, and it's great seeing that Ramsey County has a strategic priority around climate action and sustainability, and it's something I'm excited that Maplewood can partner with the county on, and and I'm really hoping to see in the city that we continue to move forward and prioritize this, and so maybe in light of that, I'd like to make a motion and voicing support and encouragement for the city council to include sustainability and climate action as a strategic priority for the city as they're making those decisions. Is anyone?
I would like to second that.
That's seconded by Commissioner Gell. Is there any further comments or debate on this, on the motion?
Mr. Chair, I will just note that the climate mitigation plan has been paused temporarily to allow our city council to review and update their strategic priorities. So that's quite timely statement that you have made there. And while the climate mitigation plan was something that was a goal within our comprehensive plan, within our other priorities that we have been working on, so it's something that we've been slowly working on, but we just kind of took a pause to ensure that their updated strategic priorities met that, and it was really refreshing to see Ramsey County, and that's kind of how they started with that seed of the strategic priority. What we do currently have a priority that talks about environmental stewardship, but it doesn't go into too much detail on the climate action. So I appreciate your making that motion, and I just wanted to let others know that that's what's going on with the climate mitigation plan. We hope to have that back up and running, our planning process, in the spring. So we do have a motion on the floor, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, staff. All right, no further comment. All those in favor of the motion for the commission's support and encouragement for the city council to include sustainability and climate action as a strategic priority for the city? Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
And Commissioner Redmond abstains, and the motion is passed. That's all for this agenda item. Thank you again, Mr. Goodwin, for your presentation, for coming to speak with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And as we know, Ted Redmond and Pale Blue Dot are working on the city's climate mitigation plan as the consultant, so in case you're wondering. Okay. Well, Gregory, thank you so much for your time, and we hope to partner with you and put me on the team, you know?
Yeah,
Can I say?
absolutely.
All right.
You will, yes, you'll definitely get community.
All right.
welcome to come back at any meeting, anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and one last question is the Green Fair,
Yeah.
Green Expo. Do you need any coordination with our team here? And do you need any outreach opportunities for what we're working on as well, or is it mainly for employers?
Yeah, it's mainly for employers and
Okay.
community-based organizations. Nothing, no needs specifically, but yeah, I'm in the process of sending you some promotional materials. So if you would mind sharing that with the folks present today, we can really try and make sure that we have a really broad reach on community members knowing that the event's happening.
And we can work, of course, I'm sure you do, with our communications so that we can put it out there for Maplewood residents as well.
Yeah,
Okay, excellent.
awesome.
Thank you. I'll let you wrap things up while I pull up my presentation here. So I'll just take a moment here. I have a presentation also, but yeah. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we're back on track.
Thank you. Yes, so to the next order of new business.
Yes, thank you. So we are moving on to review of draft 2025 trash and recycling work plans. And so during our 2025 work plan and environmental priorities discussion last month, we talked about the work plan that is required by our contracted haulers, Republic Services and Tennis Sanitation, and how those work plans are reviewed during the annual review, which we will be holding in March of this year. And the commission had requested that perhaps we could see a draft of that first before the haulers come in and give some feedback on the draft plan. And really that draft plan, you can kind of refine it once you see the actual annual review and see where some of the trouble spots are, like as an example, recycling rates have gone down or things of that nature, so you can really decide what might help make improvements to our solid waste program. But this, I think, is a good start, and of course, I'm working with this every year, so I have a pretty good handle on some areas that we could work on with our hauler. So as a reminder, in 2024, we had a work plan that identified walk-up notifications. So in Maplewood, under the solid waste program, we allow residents that are having challenges getting their cart to the curb to sign up for free walk-up service. So the trash and recycling hauler will, the driver will walk up to the garage, take the cart down to the curb, tip it, and then bring it back. And currently, I think there's about 200 residents that are using that service, and it's a great service, especially in the winter when it gets slippery. Elderly residents or people that maybe have had surgery, something like that, and can't make it down to that curb. But we were noticing that sometimes residents would call the hauler, and then they'd set it up, and then the city wouldn't know, and then the recycling hauler wouldn't know. So we wanted to make sure that we had that communication where if one hauler gets the call, we know that we have to set it up for both, and just ensuring we're keeping track of that. And then events, both of our haulers attended the Touch Truck event, which was in the fall of last year. And that's a really popular event where the city gets together a lot of different big machines. And I think the star of the show is usually the trash and recycling trucks, And then, of course, they're parked safely, but kids can kind of climb around in them. And then we use that as an opportunity to do education and outreach. And during this last Touch a Truck last year, we coordinated with Ramsey County to promote food scrap collection, which, of course, our trash hauler participates in by, taking that food scrap bag along with the trash to the Recycling and Energy Center to be processed. And then our trash hauler, Republic Services, as part of the contract, they cover the spring cleanup every year at no cost to the city as part of the overall residential contract. So that's a real benefit to our contracted system here. And they're the main contractor, and then, of course, we have vendors that come in as well to take, specialty items like electronics, things like that. So they both attended that as part of the work plan. And then our 2024 SCORE grant, which is the funding we get from the county to make improvements to our solid waste, mainly recycling programs. The incentive that we chose to get additional funding was to make some improvements to our park recycling. So we got a little start on that, and one of the, I think the key components here that happened was working with Tennis Sanitation on ensuring we're getting monthly reports on our recycling because we were seeing those only yearly, so it was hard to track, where we were seeing improvements. Solid waste tours, they coordinated a couple tours for us. The Recycling and Energy Center, which of course is where our trash and the food scraps are processed. And then we were also able to go into Tennis Sanitation's recycling facility to see how our recyclables are processed. And both of those were really interesting tours. Multifamily recycling outreach, Tennis Sanitation collects recycling from multifamily and single family. And it's always a challenge working with multifamily because I think it's more transient in nature. People sometimes aren't living there as long, and there's a lot of turnover. And so those recycling programs, we always want to make sure we're offering education and outreach on that. And how we did that last year was we had a lot of different site visits with both Tennis, I should say all three, Tennis, Biz Recycling, who is the organization funded by the county to assist with apartments and also businesses in improving recycling and offering grants. And then myself, or a city staff member, would go out there and we'd do these site visits, and Biz Recycling would take an opportunity to, do an assessment and talk about the grants. So that was really successful in a lot of different, I think we visited probably about 10 last year. Curbside food scraps collection, well, there was really nothing special that Republic Services had to do, but they did have to participate and make sure that they were following the county's requirements for collecting and tipping the food scraps at the Recycling and Energy Center correctly. So we wanted to make sure we put that on as a work plan. And then finally, and a big one for both of them, is the contracts with Tennis and Republic Services was set to expire June of this year, but we have negotiated a 2-year contract extension, so both of the haulers were amenable to that and kept the prices low, and I think we have a really good product here still for the next 2 years, and that will end June of 2027. So moving on, and in your staff report, I put together a draft on some things I think we'd like to focus on. And again, we can refine this during the annual review next month. But, we always have these events, and it's a great opportunity to do education and outreach, especially in reducing trash and increasing recycling. So there's a couple events that they have agreed to attend. State of the City, both the haulers attend that and represent, it's a great opportunity because there's a lot of city staff and various businesses, residents that are present, so it's a great way to network and get the information out on what they are doing for the city. And that, of course, is coming up here in March. And I sent you an invite to that. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact date. But try to make that and come meet the haulers, too. Spring cleanup, this year scheduled for May 3rd, and Republic Services will be there. Touch a Truck, we don't have an exact date for that yet, but they'll both be attending. And then the fall cleanup campaign, that's something we do with Republic Services as part of the contract. They offer 20% discount on curbside bulky items in October, and then we like to use that that month to serve kind of as a cleanup campaign where we do outreach and education on other ways to get rid of bulky items in recycling those products, maybe with the county's electronics recycling program or, other opportunities to reuse. So that's something that we want them to do every year. Continue on with the park solid waste improvement pilot project. So we'll kind of take what we were working on last year for improvements to the park recycling, and because of the capacity and funding, I don't think we have the capacity to work on all of our parks. So I thought we'd take one of our premier parks, Wakefield Park, and really focus on doing more, looking at the containers that we're collecting trash and recycling in the parks, and the signage that's out there, and then doing kind of an educational campaign. And both the haulers can assist in that. Of course, the haulers, while they collect at centralized locations, it's our park crew that, collects from the containers, brings it to the centralized locations, which one of which is in Wakefield. So they can help and assist in that program. And again, that's part of our 2025 SCORE grant, so we really have to work on that to get the incentive money. A couple tours. We had talked about taking tours in our work plan and environmental priorities last month. The one that I thought Republic Services could assist with is the Ramsey County Environmental Center, which will be opening April 1st, because Republic Services, they collect the bulky items curbside from our residents. And this facility with Ramsey County is where residents can also drop off electronics, and of course they can also drop off food scraps and some recycling. So I thought it's something that we could add into Republic Services work plan. Continuing on with the multifamily property recycling, we are coordinating with Ramsey County and their solid waste consultants on reviewing. There's 4 multifamily properties out there that don't recycle at all. The dumpsters and carts were pulled due to contamination. And we're trying to get those properties back online. So it's probably about, I don't know, 500 households, So we really want to continue working on strategies to get those back online. And a lot of that has to do with language barriers and not knowing what to recycle, it's just things that our hauler can assist with as well as biz recycling as part of that multifamily opportunity. And then yard waste billing and late fees, this is something Republic Services I'd like to take a look at. Currently, they bill for yard waste right away, I should say, once a year. So if you opt into the city's yard waste collection program, they'll bill you in March for the entire year, which I believe this year it's $146, and it's added to your trash bill. And then they collect once a week, April 1st to the end of November. But there's no way to, spread out the billing and just pay for it monthly, or to opt in the middle of that season and only pay half of it. So I think it'd be beneficial to have them take a look at how they can make that easier on residents and maybe do monthly billing or prorate the billing somehow. And then also the late fees. Under this new contract that we negotiated, they will now charge late fees of $5 per month if a bill is 1 month past due. Previously, they were charging 8%, and it was a cumulative, so it was really adding up for some folks who unfortunately weren't able to pay their bill, for 6 months or something. So we really want to have them track that and make sure they're showing that it's working this year. So I think that is, and then the education tags, which I noticed I didn't have on there, but both Tennis and Republic place tags on carts if there's items that can't be processed correctly, or the resident has put something in there, as an example, household hazardous waste. Maybe the driver notices that there was a can of oil in there or something. They'll leave the tag on and indicate they can't tip the cart because of the issue. And there's also some items like cart placement. If a cart is too close to a car or something like that, that's the automated arm can't tip it. So they'll leave these tags on the cart or sometimes on the doors, and it's a good way to also do some education because people might read through the rest of it. And so I should say Republic Services recently redid theirs, and it's, you can tell, kind of shows the partnership. And this older one from Tennis, I have asked that they look at that and do more of the coordination with the city. But Tennis was using this education cart in all their cities, so it was pretty standardized. But I think it would be fair, as part of the work plan, to have them kind of update this for us and make it more Maplewood specific. So that's the draft. And again, both Tennis and Republic will be here next month to go over the annual review, and then we can finalize the work plan. But I wanted to get your feedback on the draft and see if we're missing anything or if anything needs some modifications.
Thank you, staff. Any comments coming from the commission?
So I would like to ask a question, and it gets to the educational tags a little bit, and I was glad to hear you say that maybe in this current work plan, that Tennis in particular could look at updating theirs. But you mentioned the challenge with the multifamily outreach and the language barriers, and I'm really curious what people think about, maybe not necessarily for this coming work plan perhaps, maybe a longer term item, but at least getting a QR code on this to bring people to, different language iterations of these educational tags. Maybe just because of the format of the PowerPoint or the slide deck, there's other versions that aren't shown here. But maybe I just start with that question. Are there other language versions of these tags by Republic and Tennis?
Very good question. So during our contract negotiations, that was one item that the city council wanted to see the haulers make improvements on, was translation of materials, especially Republic Services, who does the billing. And both haulers made a little headway. They both have upgraded their websites to have it, you can click a button and have it translate to different languages. So that's spot on with what we're trying to get at here. And the QR code is a great opportunity to do that, It brings you to that education tag in various languages. So that is a great suggestion. And so we can kind of add that under education tags, including opportunities for translation. So I appreciate that. That's good.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe I just offer one other item. I do think that making improvements to the administration of the yard waste billing makes a lot of sense. Personally, I live near a drop-off site, a compost drop-off site, so whether it's leaves or buckthorn, I can take that to the Frank and Sims. But some people don't. Some people don't want to do that, and they prefer to use the yard waste containers. I know I have a neighbor that does, and I'd rather see people feel encouraged to use the yard waste container rather than do nothing. And yeah, $146 as a one-time fee. I mean, I really don't see why it can't be done in a more administratively friendly way. Where it's done on a month, just spread out over the, prorated or monthly. I'd really encourage that. I really don't know that, that we would want to have unnecessary barriers for people to doing that. Again, rather than doing nothing or, putting their grass clippings in the storm drain or, something like that.
Yes. 146 over that many months, I didn't do the math, but I think it's $16, $17, something like that. So it seems a lot more reasonable to take something on for $17 a month rather than $146 one-time payment. And we'll see in the work plan, but off the top of my head, I think out of our approximately 9,000 single-family households, we have maybe 1,500 households that are participating in yard waste. So you can see there's a lot of room for, I guess, improvement, if you want to call it that, if people are not transporting their own yard waste, which a lot of people aren't, so.
Just a question about, so what are the things that the Tennis and Republic are doing for these multifamily dwellings for education? Are they creating posters in centralized areas, or what have they tried in the past potentially?
So Tennis is the only one that covers multifamily under our current system. We had the city had organized recycling for many years, but probably about 20 years ago organized the recycling for the multifamily also. So Tennis Sanitation covers both single-family and multifamily. And then with the trash hauling, it's only the single-family homes that are covered under the contract. And so multifamily homes can contract with any trash hauler. which makes the program confusing in and of itself, because especially with the larger multifamily properties, they might contract with a certain company for both trash and recycling, and they probably have facilities throughout the Twin City area, and they get a better deal, But in Maplewood, you have to go with the city's recycling program. Now, it's reasonable, it's reasonably priced, but it can be a little confusing when you have two haulers. But what is Tennis doing for the multifamily as far as education and outreach? They do, that's not really their specialty. We like to work with Biz Recycling, on that, because in the county, they have a lot of the educational components. But Tennis does have large, like when they rolled out years ago, they put together large posters that the apartment complexes can place by the dumpsters, with visuals on what you can recycle. And on all their carts, they have really good labeling on the top. And then about 5 years ago, now they are offering recycling dumpsters for multifamily properties with 21 units or more. Previously, it was just carts. So if you had like a unit that was, or excuse me, a multifamily building that was 100 units, can you imagine, the manager had to roll out all those carts, not 100, usually they don't do that, but, 20 carts. So that was cumbersome. So we make improvements along the way, but really, as a hauler, they're not, even though we partner with them on education and outreach, it's really Biz Recycling that we've been working with on those visual types of outreach. And Biz Recycling is great. They have totes for the residents, like when you're in an apartment and you want to bring it down. Sometimes they have a chute, sometimes you have to go down to the underground parking space and get rid of it. So you're carrying your recyclables around, and they have these little totes. They have signage and building types of carts that you can install. And, they have grants up to $20,000 for a multifamily property to make improvements on like a dumpster enclosure, cameras that would be focused on the dumpster to ensure you don't have illegal dumping. So it covers a whole host of things. But Tennis, they also put together a multifamily yearly letter, and I think I included a copy of that in your staff report. And we'd like to see improvements there, and I think, let's see, did I include that? Oh, yeah. So
Page 16 of the document.
I'm not sure if that's another improvement I'd like to see is, and maybe we can review that a little bit more closely next month, but they'll put together a report on notifying the apartment complex how much they recycled and kind of break it down into materials. But the thing about that is, it only goes to the manager.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the residents see it, so.
With, just out of curiosity, with the transition from the rollout carts to the dumpsters, have you heard anecdotally at least any more use and adoption from residents are more people recycling things because there's just more space?
It can be beneficial, and it can be also problematic in that there was one apartment complex where we rolled out the dumpsters, and people just dumped everything in there. So it wasn't rolled out maybe in the best manner, in that there wasn't education around it. It was just, it used to be carts, now it's a dumpster next to the trash dumpster. While there was signage on both dumpsters, people were utilizing it as, just
Dumpsters.
yeah. So in that regard, it didn't work out very well, but In others, it does. And we do hear benefits, from the management who had to tend to all those carts and so forth.
I just have a quick comment. With the recycling in multifamily and actually even in the parks, it is cumbersome to do it. It's not as easy as just putting everything in the garbage. There was a commercial that was on, I think it was last year, about how in Ramsey County recycling works. We actually do recycle our things, is to encourage and maybe have more things like that. We actually do recycle in Minnesota, where many states they don't. Our recycling rates are, we do sell our product. It doesn't go into the sea. It doesn't, it's just something that to try and make it be, as a resident of an apartment building, to think, oh, I am going to recycle this because I know it is going to get recycled, instead of it's just going to go in the garbage anyway. To try and encourage that of tenant sanitation or Ramsey County or of the apartment buildings or any of those things, just to, I don't know if we can do something along those lines or encourage that, or.
Yeah, for all households, yeah, like a Mythbusters.
Right, the Mythbusters, exactly, yeah.
I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, because that's, when you talk about recycling, that's the number one thing you hear is, well, it doesn't get recycled anyway, but it actually does in our state.
And Tennis does a really good job of tracking that, so they would have good data to be able to share what's really recycled well. Yeah, that's a great idea.
I like that. You just wonder, in what format do we get that word out?
Or if it's tidbits that could go into the Maplewood newsletter, or, some sticker that they slap on the recycling bin or something.
This could be something that we work with tennis to develop outreach event, or at least when we're coordinating things, have tennis present, talking about how things are transformed and if there are examples of what happens to materials throughout the process.
Yeah, some of
So-
those events, we could,
Yeah. That I think would have the bigger impact.
good idea.
Definitely making it fun, educational, whether it's graphic, pictures, these are fine, but it's like, I hate to say it, but you kind of have to make it engaging.
Right.
Whether it's infomercials or infographics, something like that. The other thing I think about, and I think I mentioned this before or asked Jan, is kids, right? Getting into the, you get the kids excited about it, they're going to get their parents doing it, right? I mean, getting into the schools, making sure they understand the importance of recycling and composting, and where does your waste go? And, that's another area too, to try to, how do we, is that a possibility?
We had a fun contest years ago. It was to name Smunky, or it didn't have a name yet, to name their skunk on the recycling trucks. Tennis Sanitation, I don't have a picture of them. No, you don't see the truck. But on those orange trucks, their mascot is a skunk. So we asked the kids to name the skunk. And that was fun. And kids came up with three different names. Rosie, Flower, because the skunk is smelling a flower, and then Smunky, the recycling skunky. And that was the winner, that one. And then Tennis painted it on the truck. And I mentioned that during our tour last year. I said, should we do that again? And I don't know, I got kind of an eye roll. They just don't want to paint their truck. I don't know. Yeah, but that kind of gets kids involved, and then like at the Touch Truck event. But yes, it's key. Get the kids in to educate the adults.
And with the recycling, you can't have any plastic bags in there. And when you're in an apartment building, it's so much easier to carry a plastic bag down to the garbage than to carry something down and back. And even in the parks, when you're collecting the garbage, how do you do that with recycling if it's not in plastic bags? Do you empty all the plastic bags into the recycling bin? I mean, the logistics of it, I understand, make it difficult to accomplish the goal of recycling. Somehow, how can we make that look like there's a benefit to it? I'm not asking you to explain it, but.
I've got
Oh, yeah.
just a couple of questions, or one question, two parts maybe. So on Republic's work plan, I know that they're kind of tapping into the SCORE recycling work plan, but I'm kind of surprised, or I'm wondering if they can have some specific actions around the food scraps and really getting that rolled out robustly. Like one part could be, really a succinct focus on promoting it, making sure people are aware of it, how to use it, information for it. And the second aspect would be something that they can't do by themselves, but I think maybe if we can all participate, like the city and Republic and Ramsey Washington Recycling Center, we need to get some form of metrics in place so that we understand what's our participation looking like there? What kind of diversion are we getting in organics so that we can account for that? Because that's a really important program. I mean, it's probably out of all of the things that we can do with our waste, that's the number one thing we need to do, just from a GHG emission perspective alone. So I feel like maybe some concerted effort on that might be helpful.
That's very timely. Number one, Ramsey County recently inquired if we had, if we could include food scrap promotion in our utility bills. And Maplewood doesn't do utility billing. Most residents get water through St. Paul Regional Water Services, and the city adds some fees onto that. But that's an opportunity, to work with St. Paul Regional Water Services to get that information out. Plus, Republic Services, they do billing for just the trash. So we could add that to their work plan to agree to kind of coordinate that with the county.
Well, and they know the households who are using it because you have to order more bags.
Right.
So they should be able to easily figure out who's ordering bags and who's not ordering bags.
Yeah.
To know who's using it and not using it and focus on the homes that are not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A 3-month nudge follow-up.
Yeah, you haven't ordered bags.
Well, Republic Services would include it in all their bills, and of course, not everyone gets a paper bill, but they couldn't really focus. Republic Services doesn't have that information as to who's ordering bags. It's, of course, the county.
But they could get that information from the county. Or do they, I mean, I'm sure that the county knows who they're sending the bags out to.
Right, but as far as putting an insert into a bill, I don't think they could do it just for certain bills.
Well, yeah, I'm saying like, even if they did like in the March bill, if you haven't ordered bags in a year.
I think just from an administrative standpoint, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So it'd be more just putting out a general mail or general like, hey, don't forget about this, rather than just keying out people who haven't ordered those bags.
Yeah.
It'll save time on their end.
But as far as the metrics, I'm not sure Republic would have any hand in that, but for the next meeting, I'll get information from Ramsey County on what type of metrics they are collecting. Of course, the food scraps program right now is still considered a pilot program because it's not throughout the whole county.
Well, what better time for us to figure out how to track metrics than when it's a pilot project? I think, I agree that, it's not something that Republic can do by themselves, but I think that if I were designing it, I would have them involved in it because they're giving us annual reports. They would be a great resource to help, collect that for Maplewood. And ultimately, it's Washington Ramsey Recycling Center that's gonna have to figure it out. But, I feel like having the haulers and Ramsey Washington collaborate could probably be beneficial. Like, maybe they figure out how to time, like, they know this truck dumped at whatever time, how long does it take to get from being on the dump floor to going through the robot arms, so that they could at least start to figure out, where did this likely come from? That would be a great step forward, at least, so.
I'll draft some language to include in the work plan under that metrics, and check with the county too. They, of course, are working with all the haulers in the county currently, but I'll have more detail on that, and that was a very good idea. So again, we'll hear from the haulers next month. I did send them a draft of this, and they didn't have any concerns. But we can add some of these items that we talked about here tonight, and then finalize it next month. And then we would include that work plan in the annual report to the city council, because once it's brought here, they go to the council for a final report. And so very good. Thank you.
Thank you. On to the next item of unfinished business, 2025 work plan and environmental priorities.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. We started this discussion last month, but I wanted to remind you that the Environmental and Natural Resources Commission ordinance does describe that the commission will establish environmental priorities for the city in partnership with the city council, and recommend changes or new policies that control, protect, preserve, and enhance the city's environmental assets. So yearly, it's a good idea to put together a work plan, so you know where you're, to put your energy in for the year, and then also review areas that you want to focus on, some changes, some new strategies. So we call those environmental priorities. So last month, we reviewed items that we know will likely come to us over the next year. Residential trash and recycling annual review. Again, we've been talking about that, and the haulers will be here in March. Trash and recycling requests for proposals. So while those contracts now have been extended to June 2027, it's a good idea to start your request for proposal drafting about a year and a half before, your actual contract would start. So we would work with the county. They offer assistance to cities on negotiating contracts, and we could work with their solid waste consultants, who is currently FOTH, Environment and Infrastructure, and they would assist us in putting together an RFP on trash and recycling, and different programs that the city would like to see, so that the haulers can all bid on that, and that can prove to be a lot of work. So we really should start looking at that probably end of the year or beginning of next year. And then the climate mitigation plan, we hope to have that back on track spring of 2025. So the Environmental Commission, of course, has 2 representatives that have been serving on the climate mitigation planning team. And then they'll bring back information from the final meeting. Well, I guess we might have a new strategy for how we roll this out, but you'll have an opportunity to review that draft, and then, of course, once it's adopted, our Environmental Commission will be key partners in, working on those policies and guides, too. So the Green Building Code, we spent all last year drafting that code, and we're just kind of waiting on some department reviews from our building department in particular, but I'd really like to get that back on track and button that up. Bring it back in, I was hoping, April. And I don't think there'd be much more work on that, but certainly something that we we'd like to wrap up this year. And of course, that's the code for all city-funded or city-constructed buildings that would replace the International Green Construction Code, which of course is what we're calling our Green Building Code, and that is outdated. It was adopted back in 2012, and the city hasn't updated that since. So we made several improvements to that, mostly a performance-based code, looking at LEED buildings and so forth. So then moving on to the environmental priorities, we looked at several items last month, but based on the work plan, I thought I'd try to narrow it down for us and see what you thought about this. So as far as the priorities and other things that we want to kind of accomplish besides the work plan, I thought perhaps 2 tours. Of course, we talked about Ramsey County Environmental Center and having Republic Services coordinate that tour for us. And then Capital Region Watershed District, I thought that would be a good synergy to also, you'll see further down in the presentations, having one of our engineers from the city come and talk about the Maplewood Municipal Stormwater Plan and how really the Environmental Commission can get involved more in our stormwater management and policies and things like that. So Capital Region is one of the watershed districts here in Maplewood. We have 3, and they just built a new facility, and it's pictured there, and that also is under a green framework. It was built, so it would kind of function for both kind of a review of green building codes and also stormwater management and clean water. So I thought maybe those 2 tours. Presentations, we of course heard from Gregory Goodwin with the Ramsey County Climate Action Plan tonight. Friends of Maplewood Nature, John Zakel, the president, and other board members would love to come back and discuss projects they've been working on and how we can partner. Of course, the Friends of Maplewood Nature, they're a nonprofit that assists and promotes preservation and restoration of Maplewood's neighborhood preserves and the Nature Center and environmental education. So they've been great partners throughout the years. And then again, the engineer with the Maplewood Municipal Stormwater Plan, and maybe look at how they, the city looks at the street improvements and our Living Streets policy, how we, any new improvements or new roadways are looked at more than just a traffic thoroughfare, looking at both, or I should say all, the urban forest, how we deal with the stormwater, how we make sure we're allowing for pedestrians and bicycles, all within that right of way. So more of a living street. And then biz recycling, we had talked about working with businesses and kind of getting their take on what they're doing for recycling and so forth. So I thought we could start by having a representative from biz recycling and maybe one of the businesses that they worked with could also be present to show how they made some improvements. And they have got a lot of case studies, so we could also use that to promote biz recycling to our businesses by using some of the Maplewood case studies. And then finally, environmental education and outreach. There's 2 in particular that we know we want to work on. The spring cleanup, and the opportunity there is mainly meeting residents at the gate, and we distribute Ramsey recycled materials, and while they're waiting in line, it's a good opportunity to talk to them and educate. And then also Waterfest, we hope to we'll have a booth there again and coordinate with the Friends of Maplewood Nature, and that's May 31st. And then, we do have the rest of the city events, but we don't have a schedule for all of that, and I'll keep you updated on that. But when you take a look at that and all of our work plan items, you can see we have a very busy year. So what would happen here is if we're okay with this, we would wrap this all up in the annual report. And that annual report, of course, goes to the city council, and that's their kind of rubber stamp saying, proceed, Environmental Commission, on your environmental priorities. So I'd like to take some time to discuss the environmental priorities, see if you have any changes, modifications. So I'll turn it over to the commission.
I've got just one question, thank you, Sean, this is great work, all awesome. The one question I have is, about a year ago, we were talking about the EECBG grants, and different concepts for that. Has the city received that and the grant and has been able to implement that grant, or do we know anything about EECBG at all?
Yes, the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant, the city was awarded $78,000 through the Inflation Reduction Act. And it was a bit of an arduous process, that grant application, but it was awarded January 10th. And I haven't heard a word since. So I'm fearing it's on pause. It's paused right now.
I'm wondering if that one was
Yeah.
move forward.
So I'm trying to get information, but I don't get any response, unfortunately. But we did decide to focus on the green fleet and do a study on the city's municipal fleet, and to try to make improvements and add electric vehicles where we can, and make improvements to our facilities to accommodate for those.
I'm just going to circle back to what we want to do, put priorities and think through a lot of that. And I think, even though it's been on pause, the Green Building Code update, I think is going to be something that's going to occupy a lot of our planning for this year. So I don't know, I can't imagine us trying to take anything else beyond that on.
Well, this green fleet study, if we did get the funding eventually, it will cover the cost of a consultant to do the study. And then, so I'm not sure, until the study is completed, where the Environmental Commission would really
But
come
I'm
into
just
play.
thinking just in general on our priorities.
Mm.
That we're gonna, I think the Green Building Code updates is gonna keep us pretty occupied. It's just my thoughts. I don't know about anybody else, if there was something that you were looking at.
It seemed like the Green Building Code, we had that pretty buttoned up, but we do need to get that buy-in from other departments, so there could be some changes, but
Yeah. Are you gonna be getting another intern this year?
we do have an AMPAC member who is working on,
Sorry to interrupt, everyone. Please make sure your mics are on there if you're going to speak up. The green light will be lit when it's on. Thank you so much.
she is working on tree and sustainability initiatives. So she's part-time until June. So that's helpful.
And so, say I've got the mic on now. So if she's doing tree and sustainability issues, where's that, what's the driving force on that, and what projects is she gonna be working on?
Well, we really had to, and that program is,
Is under review?
we did apply for another member next year, so
Okay.
we hope to get one. But with the AMPAC program, you really have to put together, they have to put together, I forget what they call it, but it's a real detailed chart of what they can and can't do, and then they can really only focus on those projects. But at the beginning of the year, when she first came on board, a lot of it was the tree program that she was working on. But for sustainability initiatives, one key area that I'd like the assistance would be on that pilot project with Wakefield Park, and doing research on various different types of cart that might work, and doing education on that. So that, I know that's one key area that was in her work plan. And then it'd be great to have her throughout the summer, because that's when we have most of our outreach opportunities, you know? But it's, I think it's June 26th is the last day.
So with possibility, you know, of that being an unknown, are there some things that then maybe we could do for the city that would have normally been done by the intern?
Well, the intern was out pruning trees,
Okay.
so.
But you know what I'm trying to think? I'm just trying to think through, like, we're thinking of what our priorities are.
Yeah, I think the big thing that we would like to see for the Environmental Commission that seems like something you'd like to do, and it also meets with your environmental ordinance, is, you know, environmental education.
Okay.
During our outreach events, or, you know, any opportunity you have, maybe at a national night out party, something like that, distributing food scrap bags. I think really that's probably key. You know, we don't have as many programs as we used to at the Nature Center, and that was always a good opportunity to do that outreach too, but we'll keep you posted on when we do, and if you're available, would love the assistance. And also volunteering with the city of Maplewood, you know. We're trying to regrow our volunteer program. Years ago, when it was coordinated by the naturalists at the Nature Center, it was quite a robust team of volunteers, but there was a lot more to do because we had that environmental education at the Nature Center. So that's one thing that our AMPAC member is also working on, is building capacity with the volunteers.
As a related note, is the city applying for MPCA AmeriCorps intern or volunteer?
The Green Corps?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Well, we have limited space, and we have that AMPAC member, so I haven't really considered that.
And I think Green Corps is another, because that's a fairly new program that might not be a lasting program.
I thought it was I think the Climate Corps is the newer one, but then the Green Corps has been pretty
Okay.
long-lasting, and
Yeah, it's funded through the AmeriCorps program. That's what I was
Right.
thinking.
Yes, down at the Nature Center, we only have room for, well, there's 5 of us in that little space, so we don't have another area for another member. But the Green Corps, we have had Green Corps members, well, one, who worked on our energy programs years ago, and that was a great program, and of course, that mostly state-funded through the MPCA.
Well, then, if you are looking at doing more naturalist type or more nature programming and whatnot at the Nature Center, and kind of just thinking on some of the discussions we've been having tonight, then this could be an opportunity to bring in what you were talking about with the recycling stuff and work on developing these programs. That could be a priority, is just increasing our environmental programming.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you're saying.
It's all right. No, I'm just saying that maybe then we can just add to our priorities, 2025 programming is, as a commission, we just work on creating our own environmental programs that we can do within the Nature Center.
Oh, wow. That's a big ask, I'm sure. What's your first program?
Well, I mean, Commissioner Lakes was talking about working on recycling education, and that's something that we can pull in with tennis.
That'd be great if you wanted to put together, little mini programs down at the Nature Center anytime. I'd help facilitate that, but an easier option might be just to kind of find existing events that are out there and where the people already are. But that's an opportunity. I would love to see that. If you have any ideas.
I have no idea, but.
Well, I
maybe
agree.
a hybrid of the ideas with Carol retiring, maybe for our 2025 priorities, we could see where we could help step in for those existing events that she would have hosted in the past, that maybe if the position isn't filled in a timely manner, we could maybe step up to help out with those, just for this year at least. Sorry. That alarm always goes
Okay,
off
I've
for
got
this
your
one.
names on the list. And I'll add that somewhere in our environmental priorities here. Well, thank you for your feedback. Appreciate that.
All right, thank you. Moving on, visitor presentations, seeing none. Are there any commissioner presentations? All right, seeing none, move on to staff presentations or reports, starting with the possible rescheduling of the monthly ENR commission meetings.
So I did send a survey asking commissioners how likely it was for them to change the date of the meetings, the monthly meetings, as well as the time. And I heard from 6 of the 7 commissioners. And of course, the reason we're doing this is in January and February of every year, we have to reschedule due to the holidays, President's holiday and Martin Luther King holiday. So looking at the calendar and other commissions and council meetings that are in this room, of course, taking away Fridays, Saturday, Sunday, it was only the second Wednesday of the month that was available. And 6 of the 7 commissioners said it's likely that they could make that date. And then I just threw in the 6 p.m. because we do have a couple commissions that start at 6 p.m. You know, it will get you out earlier, but some people might have challenges getting here by 6, you know. But 6 of 7 said they're likely to make that time. And even if we decide here tonight that this would work, I'll have to work with someone.
You have to work with City Hall.
Oh, can't fight City Hall. No, but we'll make that proposal and see if we can swing it. But I'll put the ask out again, maybe, unless the 7th member who didn't submit the survey wants to. Does anyone have any concerns with a change like that? Even the 6 p.m.? And don't feel bad if you're the only one. No, because you signed on to a 7 p.m. meeting, and I know it could be challenging, so.
I have no troubles making either one of those.
Well, I tell you what, I will bring this to City Hall and see what they say. And I'll bring you back more detail next month. Okay, thank you.
Great.
Arbor Day tree sale, I want to remind you, I think I heard last month that part of our outreach is the Environmental Commission would like to really promote more Arbor Day and trees, and so this sale is coming up. The city's been putting on a sale for trees to residents, probably the last 8 years or so. Previously, we had a rebate program where if you bought a tree, the city would reimburse you, but it wasn't as well received as something like this that has a lot of promotion. And this year, I believe we have 300 trees for residents. It's only $40, and you can get up to 2 trees. You order online between March 3rd and May 2nd, and then you pick up the tree May 17th and the 19th. And they're climate resilient trees, a whole host of them. We worked with Tree Trust on the varieties, so that you can find out more information at maplewoodminnesota.gov/tree sale. And now I'm not sure how we could do education or outreach, except the city, I think, is always looking for assistance for the pickup times. You know, we work mainly with Public Works crews and others to, and also, of course, Tree Trust, to help load the trees and and they also get a couple bags of compost and an educational brochure on how to plant a tree. So I'll follow up and see if we have an environmental commissioners that wanted to help with that program or that event. And then along those lines, Carol Gurnis, on her last week of work here, still working, planning fun things for us. On May 3rd, we're holding the Arbor Day tree planting demonstration. And as part of the Tree City USA participants at the city of Maplewood you have to hold some sort of Arbor Day event. And so this is kind of a fun way of honoring the day and honoring our trees and showing the value of trees by doing a planting demonstration. And that is planned for Edgerton Park. There were a lot of ash trees out there that were removed, so we'll be doing some planting again and doing a demonstration so residents can see the best way to plant a tree and make sure it thrives. And that's from 10 until noon.
So that is the same day as the spring cleanup.
Yes. I was grumbling at
Okay.
Carol for that. But spring cleanup's 8 to 1. And then you jet on over to the tree demonstration at 10 a.m. But yes, I apologize for that. Spring is a busy time of year.
You
So
know, we
that-
really should get in a new tree person if they're double booking these things. So.
Well, Carol, you're fired. All right, well, thank you. That is staff presentations.
Thank you, staff. Come to the last item of adjournment. I will move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Bryan. All those in favor? Aye.